Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing my top 10 moments from the Sony E3 2017 press conference. I think Sony kind of knocked it out of the park again this year. I don't know if it's like my bias towards Sony, which is mostly because they just have my favorite exclusives, or if it's just that they legitimately do it right, but I always really enjoy their press conferences. I was really looking forward to this because I do love Sony. And I just always look forward to what they have. I feel like they put on a really good show. Same with the PSX, which maybe they know that they put on a good show, and that's why we now have that every year. So, you know, they kind of built upon that, and we have, I don't know, like 3.5 minutes, honestly, of actual human interaction, and everything else was like gameplay or trailers or, you know, like little teaser trailer announcements and stuff. And I was like, that was really great, and it really flew by. And just like, wow, that was it. There were really no breaks. Even when they went to VR, I was like, we don't need to talk about it. We did that before. It's already out. Here's what's coming. So I feel like overall they just did a great job in general with the way this came out, and of course some of the announcements they got. But of course, starting all the way down at number 10 is actually the PSVR. I always put VR stuff like just as its own category because I feel like it would be weird to be like, alright, well this VR game I like more than this one. I just put it all together. Plus not everyone has VR, so I feel like it needs to just have its own bracket because it's not like every person is like, I like that more than this, so I'm definitely going to buy that VR game. Not everyone can even afford VR. I know I can. I wish I had it. I really wanted it for like Resident Evil 7, but I thought they were bringing out some good stuff. I wrote like all the names down. Skyrim has another version of itself coming out. So we got Skyrim VR coming out. We have the Star Child game, which looked very interesting. It seemed like it was like 50% VR and 50% 2D side scrollers. So I'm actually really excited to see how that plays out because we get basically the content, most of the content that we actually get for that game is the 2D side-scrolling element of this girl, and she's going up against this random creature as it tries to attack her, and that's when the robot thing comes in. I'm like, okay, when you get into the ship, you know, the robot kind of puts it into like its core or whatever. That's when we go into the virtual reality and we're controlling, you know, this machine. And I thought that was cool. I was like, I like that idea. It's like 2 games in 1. But it's also VR. Maybe, you know, you can find certain things by looking around the area as you do the 2D side-scrolling portions, and you can kind of look up and down. It's like, oh, that little trinket is like up in the sky or something. But I thought that was a cool idea. So that's probably my favorite one out of the VR games, just because it seemed very unique. I haven't seen a VR game that does that, where it blends those two elements together. Like, it's normally, here is a game that's already been this way, and then it's converted to VR to do that, but this seems, it's like specifically made for that. So I thought that was a cool idea. The Inpatient, I love horror, so that seemed pretty cool. I think it's going to have a decent little story, and I'm excited to see how that unfolds. They brought out the Final Fantasy VR thing. It's like a whole fishing deal, so I thought, you know, that's interesting if you have the game and you also happen to have VR. Who knows how much it'll cost, or if it'll be free, or with the season pass. I don't know if the other, I'm assuming, because they announced that like when the game first came out, but I'm assuming the other VR stuff has already been out, like the handgun thing. I don't know that officially because I don't own the game, so I never really even looked into that. But, you know, I'm assuming this is the second bit of VR that they have for Final Fantasy. So I thought it was interesting, and we'll see how that ends up playing out. It's a fishing thing, so I was like, oh, that's, you know, one of the elements that actually worked, oddly enough, for that game is just, it's a bunch of guys hanging out, and so now they have like a whole thing devoted to the fishing portion, and we'll just see how that plays out. But that was an interesting little nod to kind of put on there. Then we have Bravo Team. That seemed okay. You know, it was like a military shooter game. The one thing that caught my attention is that it actually didn't look that great to me, because I was like, especially going off of the Final Fantasy stuff, which looks like, you know, Final Fantasy 15. It has those graphics in VR. Looking at the Bravo Team thing, I was like, I don't know about that. That doesn't seem as epic to me. And it was just like, I don't really know about that one. But, you know, a nice little VR army game. We have a lot of VR shooter games, but this seems like it might actually have a story and kind of, you know, go sort of towards the Call of Duty Battlefield route. And then the last VR game really interested me. It was actually Moss, and it was very cool. You actually get to see the character that you're playing in VR. They have it where the person looks down at the water. Almost looks like No Face from the Spirited Away, so I thought that was interesting. But basically you're going through as this, you know, giant creature, and you're helping this little mouse get through like platforms and puzzles and stuff. And I just thought it looked cool. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I'd like to see how much control we have over the mouse character, or if that's solely AI and we're only guiding it so we watch it fight, or do we get to kind of swap back and forth between controls. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I think that was a good showcase for VR. That, you know, once again, there wasn't a lot of talking. It was just, here's a bunch of games coming out. And I thought they all looked pretty cool. Skyrim being the most basic, only because Skyrim's been out forever. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's another version of Skyrim. everything else was like brand new stuff that at least I haven't seen. The fishing thing I hadn't seen for Final Fantasy, so that was pretty cool. Moving on to number 9, I had to write this on a napkin because I ran out of paper, so it's like on like my old timey scroll here. But moving to number 9, which I have way at the top, is actually the Horizon Zero Dawn DLC. I thought it looked really cool. I actually haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn. It's one of those games that I really want. It's just like, you know, money and being on the backlog of other old games that I really want as well. I haven't played it, but it looked really good, and it has like a whole new area where it's a lot of snow and stuff, which I didn't see from the gameplay that I watched for Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm sure it's in there somewhere where there is some actual snow, but mostly it's kind of like autumn, and this seems to actually take place after the main campaign, where it's actually during winter. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. It's like, okay, it's a lot of snow. I don't know if they're new creatures or not because I haven't played the original game, but it looked really good. It still caught my attention because it's a game I really want, and they already have DLC, which also gets me a little bit more excited. Like, maybe they'll do, you know, a special edition or something like that with this added DLC on there by the time I'm, you know, around to actually buying the game. But I just thought it looked really good, and even from not having played Horizon, I love everything that I've seen, and it has great reviews, and it's just like, that's great DLC for an already great game. So that still had me surprised. You know, it was excited to a surprising amount just from DLC to a game that I haven't even gotten to play yet. So that's my number 9. Number 8, Shadow of the Colossus remake. I did not see that coming. I knew exactly what it was. Once they showed like the art that was like in the water coming out, I was like, this is Shadow of the Colossus. And that was super awesome. The only thing that sucks is that I have the HD version, but I never got to play it. It was like I bought it and I never got to play it, just random things. It's one of those mini games that I own on the backlog, especially with it being PS3 now. And I was like, man, I wish I didn't buy that now, because it was during a time where I planned on getting through like a bunch of games, and I just didn't get the opportunity because of like school and crap. And I was like, crap, I bought that, and you know, of course, Seiko and Shadow of the Colossus were together in the HD remake, and I never got to play either of them. And now, you know, Shadow of the Colossus has like a full-on remake coming. I'm like, crap, I would probably buy that. I'm curious if it's going to be $60. I know there's some stuff that was cut content from the original game. I heard that there was actually supposed to be another Colossus in that original game, which of course wasn't put into the HD remake either, because that would be, you know, brand new stuff. So maybe that'll be in there where there's another Colossus in the game. But who knows, you know, how much they're going to add to it. Of course, with it being done for PS4, I'm excited to see exactly how that plays out, what they decide to add to it. Of course, how much is going to end up costing us. Will it be a full $60 title, even though it's technically a remake? Remakes tend to be full $60, but I mean, granted, this is from a different company, but Sony has allowed for Naughty Dog to put out the entire Crash Bandicoot trilogy, and that's only $40 if I remember right. So that's 3 games in one, even if that is from PlayStation. They are complete overhauls, and you know, that's only $40. So it's like, well, maybe we'll get, you know, somewhere in that area. Maybe it'll be 50, but not the full 60. So I'm excited to see that. Just wish, you know, I kind of wish this was one of those moments where I either never got the game or at least beat it, and it's like, oh, I could get that. But now it's like I owned it and never beat it, and there's a better version coming. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I thought it looked great. It looked absolutely phenomenal, so I'm very excited to see what they do with that. Number 7, which is the announcement basically right after it, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I was already excited for that game because I love the Marvel vs. Capcom games. We don't get to actually see any in-game combat, or we see, you know, 2 versus 2, because that's one of the things, unfortunately, they went down from the 3-3 back to 2-2 from like the original like X-Men versus Street Fighter games. So we don't get to see like any of the actual combat, but we do get to see a bunch of characters, so I was excited for that. We have, these are like some of the characters I caught as the glimpses were going by, but Dante is in there, Gamora is in there, Thanos is in there, Strider is in there. Of course, I would assume all of the Guardians of the Galaxy are in there, because if Gamora's in there and we know Rocket's in there, and I saw something that said like Rocket and Groot might count as one character, almost like, I forgot what the characters were, but for Mortal Kombat X, like the giant and the young girl. So both of those characters might take up one space, so I would assume if you got the whole, you know, at least those 3 characters in there, why not just throw in Star-Lord and Drax to have like the whole team? Plus you got Thanos, and they already talk about that even in the trailer, where they actually go through that element of like, you know, Gamora, we need Thanos, so they actually go to her because of her tie with him, which brings me to my favorite point. There's an actual freaking story to this, because I think that was the biggest disappointment. It was like, yeah, it's these villains teaming up from the Capcom universe and the Marvel universe, and so they're blending together to be like these ultimate villains, and in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there was none of that crap. It was like you fight Galactus at the end, and everyone has a little, tile ending, and that's it. And this has an actual story to it. There are actual in-game cutscenes, and I was so freaking happy just for that element. I am excited to see what other characters we get. There have been some leaks that are not exactly official just yet, so I've seen some of the lists. But I'm excited. I was like, this is really good. We actually have the characters truly coming together this time. It's not like the trailer for 3 where it was like, oh man, they're actually coming together. There's going to be this great story of like, I think it was supposed to be like Wesker and Galactus or Wesker and, somebody else. And ultimately, none of that crap really mattered. It was like, you just fight, and then that's it. This has a real story mode, and I'm very excited for that. It also comes out September 19th, so we have a release date. We get to see the visuals. It actually looks a lot like, for anyone who may not have seen the Telltale Games Guardian of the Galaxy that they just came out with, it actually looks exactly like that to me. Like the visuals, it's like almost that claymation style, but not exactly. But it looked really good, so I was very excited for that. We did get to see Hawkeye was in there, and there was someone else. I forgot who it was, but there was Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel, I think, were during the scene where Rocket's like, you guys go ahead. Nova, that's who that was. But we do see Doctor Strange. Nova's in there as well. So we get some cool characters. I'm glad Dante is back, so that's really awesome. But I am excited to get like the full roster. Whatever they decide to do as far as DLC characters, we'll probably get some more announcements on that later. And like we have these characters planned officially, and then maybe in the future we'll get even more DLC characters. But looking forward to getting some more info. An official gameplay trailer would be nice, just seeing an actual battle. Maybe start with the cutscene and how that transitions into battle, exactly how that'll play out. I would love to see, exactly how it will look. But that definitely had me excited. Love the game. I just can't wait to see what they do with that. Plus, like I said, an actual story. That was like the peak. It was like the characters. It's cool. Dante was one of my favorites, so it's cool to see him there. Chris came back. He was in the original, but it's like there's an actual story mode. So there's something to truly look forward to, and that just had me really excited. Moving on to my number 6. It's actually Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I thought it was great. They started off strong with it. Great music, by the way, that they had in the beginning. But I was excited for the trailer. The only reason this isn't higher is because, of course, we knew it was coming out. I'm already a fan of Uncharted, and it's one of those things where it's like, it was really cool still, but it's not like I'm amped for it, because it literally comes out in like a month and a half. So it's like there's not like that crazy expectation, like what can we possibly see, because anything they show is going to be minute, especially considering it's coming out so soon. So it's like, okay, it's cool to get this trailer at least, because we haven't even had, this is like actually the first real trailer they've done, because we had the first reveal gameplay trailer during the PlayStation experience, and then we technically had a trailer, but it was really just a cutscene when they're on the boat, and that was really it. It was like, it was considered a trailer, but it was like, really, this is just a cutscene, and it's Chloe and Nadine talking to each other, and I think there was some gameplay in there. There's like a portion where they're flipping through the book, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this just switched to gameplay, but it was one of those things where like it looks so good in the cutscene and the game, plus it's in-game cutscenes. I couldn't really tell exactly what was happening, so I was like, that's cool. But this is like our official trailer where it's a trailer like montage. We do get to see our main villain. Seems pretty cool, so I like him. He has kind of like Uncharted. They have this odd relationship with the villain where it's like he has an issue with Chloe, but they definitely know each other, and she kind of asks him for help, and he kind of rattles things off, and she's like, so that's a no. So it's like they do know each other. That's kind of a very common thing with Uncharted. Like they always know one of the villains, typically not the main villain. They always know, like, Nate always seems to know the sub-villain of all the games. So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. They kind of did that here too. But I thought it looked good. Like I said, already excited for it, and I didn't think that they could do anything outside of like, if they came on, it was like, surprise, it's like co-op where, you could go online and somebody takes over for Nadine as you're playing Chloe or vice versa. That would have blew me away. It would have been way higher on my list if that came out, but it was just a nice, montage trailer, so I thought it was fairly decent. Moving down to my number 5, which is somewhere on this list. Monster Hunter World. I was very surprised by this. Monster Hunter is one of those franchises that I don't know how many people really even know about it, having seen it at E3. But it's a game that's huge in Japan. Like, that's really where it's at, is like, it's freaking ridiculous in Japan. It's huge. And here it's fairly popular, but the thing that never, kind of kept me away from it is the fact that it was always like either a PSP or PS Vita game. And this is like the first time it's truly come to consoles, at least here in the States. I don't know if they've ever done that with home versions, in Japan. But as far as I know, they've never really done that here. Every time I would see a trailer, I'd be like, oh, Monster Hunter, that looks really cool. It's like PSP or, Vita. So this really caught my attention because it looks really great. Of course, it's on, PS4, so it looks phenomenal. And they don't really show off the co-op element until like the very end, after the person like beats the dinosaur, they shoot a flare up and you can just barely see people. I didn't even catch it until the second time I saw the trailer. But you see people like actually holding on to some of the pterodactyls coming in to go towards the flare. So it is co-op. It is kind of open world like the other Monster Hunter games. I don't know exactly the story that those games have, so that's another element. Like, this definitely is a huge bump for the game for me because I always thought it looked great, and now it literally looks even better than it ever did before. And the action seems cool. They have, you know, who knows how scripted it may have been, but the interaction with the environment, pulling like this big vine down on the dinosaur, using like weapons to basically trap the dinosaur down, you know, basically having it attack you and it misses you and hits another animal, so that animal adds a little bit of damage to it so you can take it down easier. A lot of great stuff that they showed off. Very excited to see more of what they do with the co-op in this. I'm assuming, you know, they've been doing this for years. I don't think we should have any issue, you know, with co-op. It would just be on consoles. So it really kind of caught me off guard, and it's like finally that's something that's always been there, like on the fringe for me, where it's like I like that, and now it's kind of come to something that I already own. So because I've never owned any of the handheld Sony titles, and it was always because there would always be like 1 or 2 games that I wanted. It's like it's not worth it buying the whole thing just for that 1 or 2 games. So thought it was great that it's coming to consoles. Of course, like I said, it looks phenomenal, and I'm excited to get some more content on that. So definitely excited. Nice little surprise for me. Like I said, with it being so big in Japan, I don't know how big of a deal that'll be for some people, but I really enjoyed it. Moving down to my number 4, it was actually the way they ended off the show, and it was Spider-Man. I was already excited for this. It's only number 4 because it was like, yeah, it's Spider-Man. It's still higher than some stuff because like it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, and it looked great. It looked really good. We got a little bit of the story. I knew Mr. Negative was going to be the enemy. That's who the guy was that was in the helicopter. I knew about him from an old video where people were like looking at the trailer like, okay, it's this. These villains have the mask, so they have to be tied to this villain. So I already knew he was going to be there. But we also find out that Fisk is going to be in the game, so I thought that was definitely awesome. The visuals looked absolutely phenomenal. I love this too. I know that was a big thing when it first got revealed. Some people hate it. I freaking love it. I think it looks great. Plus, it kind of has that symbiote Spider-Man thing with like the white on the top of the glove. I thought that was awesome. It goes beyond like just a little square patch, but it looks sweet to me, so I loved it. The moves were freaking amazing, and you know, there's some QTE events in there. I know that might bother some people, but I was like, all right, it seems small enough. They have like the little tracking thing on like any surface that you can attach to. The combat looked great. You know, he's like kicking people off the building, then he like web them back down. Technically, he should have killed that one dude because he like slammed him down after he brought him back. I was like, he would be dead. That was like some Batman stuff where like you hit people super hard. It was like, I'm pretty sure he would have snapped his spine with that move. But it looked great. Like, I love the way they did that. They even show a move where like the stealth elements where he takes a guy down, then the second person he strings up, and so the third guy sees him and he throws like a little web bomb, and when the guy trips it, it basically shoots a web out and pulls him back in, and it knocks him unconscious because it zips him to the wall. And I was like, that's awesome. I would love to see that utilized. You know, maybe we'll get to see, you know, that from every different angle. We see it from the bottom if someone's like, you know, on a clear bridge, or it's got like lines and you can shoot a web through. I would love to see something simple like that. Like maybe you can hit someone's foot and they're like, what the heck is that? They think they stepped in gum or, you know, something silly, and it will work because, you know, it's Spider-Man. But love the gadgets we got to see. The whole event of him chasing the helicopter was great. It was like, it was just him swinging and he wasn't fighting anybody. Like, we got the little action element, which blended straight into the cutscene when he like lands on the wall and he goes to the next section. All of that looked great, and then it's just him chasing this helicopter down, and we see that the parts where he's like inside buildings, those are scripted. I would love for some of those moments to be automatic, where it's like maybe on the ground level or just certain buildings you can run through whenever you want, because that was one of my favorite parts of the original trailer, where he's jumping past people to zip out of a window, and we see that in this as well. As the helicopter, or like the guy in the helicopter shooting missiles at the building, and he's dodging left and right to get to the helicopter. So I love that. Also, man, they stinged it at the end. I don't know what we're going to get from this, but Miles Morales is in it, and I was like, that is a phenomenal effing way to end that off. So I freaking love that. I can't wait to see what they do there. Moving on to number 3, the Detroit game. Thought it was awesome. Got to see some of my city. They had like the people mover, so that's obviously, if you don't live here, you don't know what that is. But I thought that was cool. Also, they seem to change. They show that there are new characters in there. It's not just going to be the robot who's stopping other robots. We actually play both sides of the conflict. So we have one robot who is on the line of, you know, this is how robots were created and this is what they're made for. The other side, we have a character who is basically rebelling and freeing other robots. So that has me a lot more excited. I thought it was very cool. It's like you get to play both sides of it, which doesn't surprise me too much. That's kind of what they do. They always tend to have, you know, multiple characters in some regard. So I thought that was really cool. We play both sides, and we see this element of, you know, do you go like full riot, like, you know, Matrix style, Terminator stuff, the machines are taking over, or do you kind of calmly do like, we just want freedom as other humans? So I thought that was great. Moving on to my number 2, Days Gone. I love zombie games, and I think they did a great job with this. I loved it last year, really loved it this time. We got to see some great stuff with the open world element, the wolves coming at them. We see a bear at the end, so they got zombie animals all over the place. There are random traps in the world, like he drives into a rope and gets like clothesline and he has to fight off people. Then you can take like a bear trap and set it down. You can run into little traps because people have like cans and stuff set up for zombies, and then you can hide if you almost get busted. Set up a trap to set them off. Use zombies as traps because the guy screaming in the bear trap triggered the other zombies that were like on this other ridge down below. So him freaking out brought more zombies that way to kill them off, so you don't have to worry going back unless you want to take on all those zombies. You just leave that alone. Then he blows open the barricade they had over the river to take out this other encampment. So there are other encampments, random people. It just looked really good. So I was really excited for that. You know, riding your motorcycle, the combat with the wolves. Like I said, they ended with the zombie bear. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I was really excited about that. So very excited for that. I think they showed some great stuff. No release date, unfortunately, but still looked really good. Before I get to my number 1, I have 2 honorable mentions because there were literally only like 2 other games that were even shown, so I feel like I might as well mention them. We have Destiny 2 is coming out, some PS exclusives. I never played the first one, I didn't really care that much. And then the other one is Call of Duty World War II. I thought it was a good trailer, comes out November 3rd. I like Call of Duty, but I never really buy them. If someone owns it, I'll probably borrow it from them, and that's really about it. So going down to my number 1, it was God of War. It looked freaking great. It was kind of the opposite of what they did before, where last time it was like epic reveal, tons of gameplay. This was like the opposite, where it was like, alright, we already did the reveal and some of the gameplay. Here's, you know, kind of like Uncharted. Here's just typical trailer action montage. We do get some cool stuff. Kratos' son is not like him, so I was like, does that mean it's not really his son? Because especially at the end, he talks to the creature, and I was like, okay, so is he not his son? Is he really his son? And maybe Kratos, having literally been the god of war, is a god. His son is like a demigod, because, you know, Kratos is a god, and then a Norse god, which they also reference, like, you know, once the gods realize you're here, they won't be happy. So we do get to meet other gods. It won't just be in the world. We will see the Norse gods. I thought that was great. Combat looked good. They kind of went back to the hack and slash stuff, where he's got like this cool shield where he's bashing the axe, which kind of replaced the Chains of Olympus. Looks really great, and he's spinning it around and flipping it, chopping people up. We saw it in the last trailer where he could throw it and then do hand-to-hand combat. All around looked really good. Added some more story elements that brought us some questions. Even added a little bit of comedy with the one character, like, wow, all that combat stuff was crazy, and Kratos kind of throws the axe near his head. So they did some great stuff there with the story elements, introducing a couple people we'll run into, showing off some more enemies, and just showing off like one new weapon with the shield, but I'm sure we'll get a lot more. And they also show tandem attacks with his son, so very excited all around. My camera may or may not cut off, so if it does, I'm just going to finish up the ending and it'll just be like a random cut because I have to edit it. But I just wanted to warn you guys before it does, in case it does. But those are my top 10 moments. Really love the conference. We got one more with Nintendo. Would love to know what you guys thought about this one. Favorite moments, least favorite moments. How you would rearrange my list. And what you wish was there. Didn't see The Last of Us 2. Sorry about that. Like, that's exactly why I mentioned it. But for The Last of Us, what I was saying was, I didn't think we'd get any gameplay. But I thought for sure we would at least get another trailer where it's like, okay, this is where the world is. Maybe this is where they're settled. We don't know. It's an old game, but I still won't spoil exactly who they meet in the first game. But there are certain characters where I was like, well, maybe we'll see them again. Maybe they detach from those characters. Maybe we'll just get to meet some new characters who are possibly villains, possibly new heroes. Who knows? But I was curious to see another trailer, and unfortunately we don't. We'll probably get something for that at the next PlayStation Experience. Obviously that was like the first trailer, so they don't really have much. So they were just showing new stuff that we had. Do wish we saw it, but I'm still excited. That was another thing where maybe they were like, we don't need to rush that out because it's The Last of Us 2. Just like with Uncharted, we don't need to force ourselves to put out another trailer. We'll just go with something that we know, and we'll just let, you know, Naughty Dog do what they need to do with Last of Us 2. So it was fine that it wasn't there, but I would have loved to have seen another trailer. I think that would have been great, but it's still a phenomenal conference. Like I said, we'd love to know what your favorite moments were, how you guys would rearrange my list. Like I said, I want to know what you guys want to see. I'm pretty sure most people will say The Last of Us 2, but I'm sure there are some other Sony things that you guys would have liked to have seen as well. So please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.